We understand that this is a time of year where it is chaos. If you're like me, my kids started school yesterday, and I was dropping off my kids up until 5 minutes ago. So we hope that if you are joining us online, watching the recording, that you guys can get connected with somebody in your area and carry this conversation further. For those that are here this morning, we'll keep the conversation going as well. Before we get started, as you guys know, we usually start with a question to get our minds moving on the topic. And today, I just want to go real simple. I want you to write down one school in your area that comes to mind when you think about school campuses. So, what's that one school that first pops in your mind when you think about what's near you? Um, Sometimes it's easy to go with what's physically near you. Maybe it's the school you graduated from or the school that you have the most connection with students at. But those schools that pop up seem to be usually a pretty quick answer. I'm going to challenge you now. I want you to take it to two more schools. Go a little bit more than just one. What else is out there in your area? Take a moment, pray for those three schools that came to mind for you or the schools that you see in the chat as well. And we'll gather up in a minute or so and jump into our conversation this morning. So I'll let you pray. We're going to keep conversation going about praying for schools, but I think it was just a simple step for us to just start by actually doing it rather than just talking about it, actually engaging in it to start us off. And then now we're going to jump in to conversations of taking it that next step further. What does it look like to join with others? How do we get more practical, more intentional with prayer for schools and in campuses and juvenile facilities and so many things that we can be advocates for and intercessory prayer warriors for as well. And so we're going to hand things off to a guy who is on our team with NNYM, the area coordinator for Philadelphia slash National Resource Development Coordinator slash one of the coolest guys that I know. So I'm going to hand it off to Jonny, who's kicking things off, just pushing the drive for us on our Footprints for on Campus campaign and getting all of us engaged and really the champion of this for our organization. So Jonny, I'm handing it to you this morning.
Thanks, Nick. Man, that third title, I'm gonna have to get that on my business cards. I got to get that printed on there. Well, hey everyone, I just appreciate the chance to be able to share about this. This is an area when we talk about praying over school campuses, it's an area that I feel like God's been leading me more and more in each year. And I'll be honest, I mean, a lot of it is because of the people on the call right here, being on staff with a bunch of prayer warriors who rally people to pray for school campuses. So when you walk amongst giants, you stand a little taller. And what I've found is that when we're talking about the concept, like today's concept is how do we pray for campuses? And as we break it down, how do we pray for campuses? We really have two areas we want to focus on. Who are the people that are going to be joining us? And then what do we actually pray when we're there? And so we're going to spend a little bit of time just discussing best methods. But I also would love the chance to share about a time that I almost got arrested praying for school campuses. You see, last year, I did the wise thing of reaching out to a local woman who is head of Moms in Prayer. And she was incredible. She just got like everyone together. And she didn't just do the two middle schools and the high school of this district. She's like, we're doing the elementary schools too. So she rallied the troops. She put a schedule together. She's like, we're doing four on this day, five on this day. And people started showing up, and it was awesome. Well, she took our verse for Footprints on Campus, Joshua 1:3, and started writing with chalk on the sidewalk this verse. And I was like, that's a cool idea. It was a cool idea until I had two cops show up at my door. And then they started asking me some questions. They said, hey, we ran your plates and you were on our school campus. And as I recalled, the verse we were writing there was, everywhere you place your foot, I will give to you. So they explained that because there was some community unrest with the school board, the guy posted something on Facebook he shouldn't, and everyone's inflamed. To have a group of people walk on school campus and be like, "I'm going to give this to you," it seemed like a little bit of a veiled threat. I was able to explain myself. I called the security campus guy, and I called the principal of that school just to clarify it. And good news, I wasn't arrested that day. But what they said was awesome was this. They said, "We love what you're doing. Keep it up. Don't stop praying for our campuses." And it was just an incredible reminder of how important this is. And you may be there, you're saying, "Hey, I want to do this too, but I don't know who to rally. I don't know where my connections go." What I would encourage you to do is to number one, as you're assembling your team, we talked about that step one. If you're assembling your team, start small. Start with the people that when you call them up, they're game. They're jumping in. They're ready to do something. So think of your people, people who care about teens. Maybe it's youth leaders. A lot of us know a bunch of youth leaders in our area. Maybe it's the praying, faithful women in the church. I don't know about you, but every church I've been a part of, there's been a pocket of women who are just prayer warriors. Loop them in to join you. Maybe it's an excuse to reach out to Moms in Prayer, Young Life, Crew, any of these organizations that are also teaming up. To so as you sit down and make your list, think through who are the people that would really want to jump in and pray with us and be in this thing together. So that's my first encouragement for you when you come to assembling a team. I wish I had this amazing secret of if you just put this post on, everyone would flock to it. But really, it's just the personal invitations. If you're inviting people to pray and to go around with you and to go to different campuses, who are the people you would first reach out to? Hopefully, some names of people are coming to your mind. But then the second part is what do we pray about? Now, maybe for you, as you show up on a school campus or as you think of this generation, the prayers just flow. Maybe you're someone where you could just pray for hours and just you feel like you're united with God and his mission for these teenagers and it just flows naturally. But there are a whole bunch of other people, maybe not you, but others, who might have a little bit of a hurdle. If you were to say, "Hey, I want you to go pray for your school," they may start for 5 minutes and then tail off and be like, "I think I prayed for everything I know how. What do I do with this?" That's something that we would love to help just go through the different resources that are available to us through the nation as far as how we can help others pray and even for ourselves give us fresh ideas. This is something that you can actually save to your computer and it can help you. This first part, we're teaming up with Claim Your Campus just to help get the process out. If you are to begin a group and just what are the steps of how to do this in person? They give a great rundown of how to do this. And I'm not going to go through all of this right now, but I do want to point this out just so you get a look at it and you can see, hey, this is something I can use for myself. If I'm going to show up and I'm going to pray for a school, I can have a resource here of what's the best practice. It's also something that if you're rallying a team and they're all going out, you can put this in their hands and say, "Hey, as you're leading others to pray for their school, maybe it's leading teens who are going to be in that school. Here's a resource that we want you to have of how to effectively do this, how to organize it." So that's page one of this document here, is really how to organize this. And then here's the next part. This is 30 different ways to pray for teens. Now, this is something that you can easily put in people's hands. And as they're going through, they could pray 1 through 30, and it's going to change their life. It's going to change teens' lives. They could cherry pick a couple in here and just say, "I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to choose this next one," whatever it may be. And in fact, last night we had our youth group. We actually, in our space, we didn't go to schools, but what we did is we had every student write their school name on a piece of paper. We hung them up around the walls, but we also had this piece of paper underneath it. So that way, as we're encouraging teens and their leaders to go around and to pray for schools, we're also giving them little directives of how to pray, just in case it's something they feel ill-equipped to do on their own. So I'm super excited about this resource here, just to get it in your hands, just for you to be able to say, you know what, this is something I can give to other leaders who are doing this. And hopefully it's a great reference point for you because we have something that we are all joining up with other organizations, and it's called the Prayer Symphony. The Prayer Symphony. And you know what? I'm going to hand it over to Doug Clark to be able to introduce what is the Prayer Symphony and how can we get involved?
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Um, as you just saw, Claim Your Campus is one of the champions of praying for schools. And we've noticed that there are a number of different ministries that have a prayer focus around the beginning of the school year. And so they have invested time, they've invested energy, they've invested money, they've invested prayer and strategy to try to sharpen that and make it the best initiative or prayer strategy that they could. And rather than saying, hey, just lay that all aside and let's just do all one thing together, the symphony is the idea that there's a percussion section, there's a string section, there's the woodwinds, and under one conductor, if you will, we would like to champion all these different initiatives so that people can look at this and go, that one fits me best. So you imagine in a church now on Bless Our Schools Sunday, which is Moms and Prayers fall kickoff, if you will, for the school year. They're going to go into churches and they're going to pray. But the women in the church or the moms are going to be the ones who are going to say, hey, that fits me. And then people like me will sit there and go, I'm not a mom. I'm never going to be a mom. But I'm a dad. Or is there a way I can participate? I want to pray for schools. I want to pray for students. And so we're trying to champion all these different ways and recognize that there's different strokes for different folks. Okay. And we want anybody to have an opportunity to be able to pray. And so find some simple, reproducible strategies. We've combined those and curated them into a document that you're going to be able to see here in a minute. Some of them can be spontaneous. Some of them are more involved. Claim Your Campus, for example, which focuses on helping equip students to pray, has an app. And so you can follow the app every day. And it's an excellent one. And we use them as the follow-up strategy, by the way, for See You at the Pole. And so when students that participate in See You at the Pole are encouraged to start a Claim Your Campus group so that what happens on September 24th will continue to happen throughout the school year. So there's continued prayer. Moms in Prayer focuses on moms. See You at the Pole and Claim Your Campus focuses on students. Steps of Prayer is something that's initiative from Christian educators. So it focuses on teachers. And Footprints, that's this week going on right now across the country, is for anybody. And so it's wide. And so we found that when people pray together, it builds relationship. So for those of you that are leading networks, there's a relationship building thing that happens when you walk and pray together for a school that's dynamic. And so my friend Josh, who's the youth pastor, young guy at the church here, the largest church in our community, he and I have been meeting pretty regularly over this last year. We just walk and pray. We end up praying for each other, praying for the schools. And my relationship with him is tight as a result of that. And I love that guy more than I ever possibly would have if we hadn't been walking and praying together and sharing as we do that. Then the network is going to continue to promote these other strategies and initiatives all the way into October with FCA's big evangelistic push at stadiums that's mostly in October. So there's this progression from one thing to another. And then we share this goal with the Campus Alliance, all the different denominations and ministries that are part of that every school would be prayed for, that they would show care and share, as someone said earlier, prayer, care, share. And so we want to put the results in one bucket, so to speak. And so that's what the combined emphasis is of the symphony. One conductor, lots of different sections playing their instruments their own different ways, but doing it in harmony. And then it moves in a movement from one to the next, and then climaxes with an outreach with FCA in October. There's probably a lot of others that could be on the list that you're going to see here if you go on the list, and we'd love to add to it, but we're trying to focus on national initiatives. But fall's a time for a kickoff for student ministry. We're trying to capture the momentum from the summer. We're trying to feed the spiritual hunger that's profoundly evident right now in Gen Z and Gen Alpha from lots of different research is showing that. And many of you know some of the amazing things that happen at camps throughout the summer. And then focus the attention of the church on one of the most reachable audiences, which is students. So that's it in a nutshell. That was like full blast from a fire hose, if you will. I'd love to help any way I can to help direct or augment this and answer any kind of questions you might have. So
I love the idea that like the symphony, right? And like you talked about these different sections of the music. So we're going to ask kind of three questions, dive into what you can in the time that we're going to be discussing. What's actually working to pray for schools in your area? How are you teaming up with other leaders in your network to cover schools in prayer? And what ideas do you have to bring the wider community together for prayer in schools?
Feel free to pause the video here and think through these questions yourself, or with the group that you're viewing this with. Thanks for viewing this network conversation, brought to you by the National Network of Youth Ministries. We hope it helps you to set the table for unity and further conversations with other youth leaders. Any shared links are in the comment section on NNYM's YouTube channel. While you're there, feel free to like and subscribe. If you want to join our next conversation or training, you can find upcoming live events on our Eventbrite page. You can also connect to a local network leader at nnym.org. We're here because we are better together.